today we're going to be working on if A, then B. This is in your folder as well. So what we're looking to understand from this is how to add integers from different perspectives. So our first question is 8 plus negative 8. I'm going to start with some counters. I've already built this out. Hopefully it'll all show. So I have 8, and then I'm going to add 8 negatives. 8 positives and 8 negatives. There we go. Almost. Okay. So as you'll recall, when you have these positives and negatives, you can create 0 pairs, and that's what we're going to do. Every time I have one positive and one negative, that makes 0. So I'm going to cancel those out. Just matching them up here, 0 pairs. Okay, so I'm left with nothing, 0, because I have the same number of positives and negatives. We've also been working with number lines. So I want to model this on a number line as well. Got my number line here. I'm going to label this one A. Copy the problem. A plus negative 8. These parentheses just kind of make it pretty. It separates the addition sign from the subtraction sign. That is the purpose of those parentheses. My writing is not the best, so that's why I'm trying to make that a little prettier. All right, 8, positive 8. You would start at 0, 8 spaces to the right. This is 8. Negative 8, start here, go to the left, 8 spaces from where I was. And if you notice, all of this is overlapping. So all of this overlapping part is actually, it cancels. That's what a 0 pair looks like on a number line. So we could say, put that up there, that 8 plus negative 8 equals 0. We could call these additive inverses. That's what they are. Throw in that vocabulary. If we look at the arrows, they have the same length. They're overlapping. They have the same absolute value, but the arrows are going in opposite directions. So the opposite direction, same length. That's what additive inverses look like on the number line. So as I'm looking here, the first question I'm going to ask myself is kind of related to these counters. Okay? And I'm thinking of these as positives and negatives. Now I'm not going to build this question, but I am going to ask you, are there more positives or negatives? Okay, there are more positives, which means my answer is going to be positive. How many 0 pairs am I going to have? How much is this going to overlap? So in my head, what I'm doing is I am separating this into 10 plus 8. Because if I have negative 8 plus 8, and then add the 10, this part right here is 0. And I can see right away that my answer is 10. I'm going to model that on the number line. So this is question B, negative 8 plus 18. From 0, left 8. From there, forward 18. Leaving me at my answer, which is 10. And I should have circled 0 here. Sorry. All right. So what I'm doing when I'm separating this, it's called decomposing. When I'm doing that, it's like I'm breaking my arrow right here so that I can see. So if it's 18, that would be 8 and 10. So I can see this part that overlaps is here, and whatever's left, that's my answer, is 10. So this is the same problem, but it would be modeled a little bit different. How do I have more positives or negatives? I have more positives. How many more positives? 10. I'm going to draw this over here. This is a sketch, okay? And it's appropriate to sketch these things at times. So I'm going to go forward 18. And then I'm going to go left 8. I didn't really draw it to scale, but if I broke this bottom arrow here, that would be 8 and that would be 10. It is not drawn to scale. This is the part that represents the answer. Okay. It's a pretty, not the best number line. I'll do better over here. Okay, so I'm going to draw this out. 0. I'm going to go left 8. And from there, I'm going to go right 28. I'm going to break that arrow into 8 and 20. 20 plus 8 is 28. And I'm breaking that because this part overlaps and it cancels. So what's left? 20. That's the answer. And I'll go back to the other question that I've been asking, which is, do you have more positives or negatives? In this case, you had more positives. More positives. Same number gives you 0. More positives. So here, again, I have more positives. So my answer will be positive. I'm going to decompose this into 8 and 1020. So I can see that negative 8 and 8 makes 0. And then I have the 1020 left. Final answer, 1020. So you may have used a different strategy, and that's okay. That's fine. This is not the best strategy. It's just one that I wanted to be sure that you were familiar with. So summarize your strategy here. What did I do? I'm going to try to put this in words. I decided if there was more positives or negatives, and that gave me my sign. And after I did that, I drew it, saw where I landed. Here I would have landed at 20. Here I would have landed at 10. Okay. How do I want to write this though? How do I want to summarize it? Decide if I had more positives or negatives. And then I canceled my 0 pairs is what I did. I decomposed those numbers so that I would have like this 0 pair here, and 0 pair here, and 0 pair here. So that was part of my strategy. And then I determined the answer. Now, this is not the correct answer. This is me summarizing my strategy. And again, your strategy could be perfectly correct, but a little bit different than what I've done. Feel free to reach out and ask about your strategy. So, next we have this number line. And what I'm going to do is determine whether each expression is positive, negative, or equal to 0. Okay. There should be a chart here. Your paper has a chart. I don't think mine does. That's okay. I'll just work them out like this. So, first question, a plus 1. So what I need to do is think about how addition works. So addition on the number line, you go to the first location from 0, then from that location you use the next location to figure out your answer. So what I need at this point is some way to measure 1. I'm going to go, here's A, here's my whole problem. This is from 0. I've got A, looking at my measurements, there's A, and lining up with 0. There's A, and from there, I need to add 1. So from there, I will be adding 1. I need to measure 1. So different. From 0 to the right, and that is 1. Okay. So which one of these is longer? The A or the 1? All right. Now, look at A. A is longer. Is A a positive or a negative number? Look where it is. If I gave it a value, like approximately negative 1 1/4, regardless, it is a negative number. So here's what happens. When you're doing this problem, you would go from 0, you would go to A, and then from there, you would go forward 1. This is where you land right here. That is A plus 1, and that is to the left of 0, which means that is negative. Okay, next question. B plus negative 1. Well, I need to measure B to start with. So, there we go. From 0, it's going to the right. B is a positive number. So I have B, and then what? Plus negative 1. So I already have that length of 1 measured out. We need to trim that a bit. Yeah, let me trim it just a little bit. I missed it up. Yeah, there we go. So there's 1. So negative 1 is the same length, but it's going the opposite direction. So again, here's 1, negative 1, same length, same absolute value, going the opposite direction. In this case, that's left. So that's the opposite of 1. Excuse me. The opposite of 1, or negative 1. Negative, okay, here's 1. That's negative 1. So, back to the question. B plus negative 1. So, B from 0, B. And then from there, I'm going to put negative 1. And this is where I'm at. B plus negative 1. Which one's longer? The positive number, B, or the negative number, negative 1? So just looking at the papers here, I can tell that the positive number is longer, which means it has a greater absolute value. So my answer here is positive. I think I figured something out. I'm going to write it down, and then we're going to test it and see. I think this is true. When I'm adding the number with with the greater absolute value is the sign of the answer. So what I mean by that, like this one was positive, and the positive was longer than the negative, so my answer was positive. And on this other one, the first one, okay, I went here, and that was a negative number. A is a negative number because of where it's located, to the left of 0. And then I added this, which was a little shorter. This positive number was shorter, had a less absolute value. So the number with the greater absolute value, which was A, our answer kept its sign. So that's what I think is true. I'm going to keep testing it out. Now I need A. I already got A. There's A plus negative 2. So I think I need to measure out negative 2. Negative 2. Okay, from 0 right here. It's going left. And that's negative 2. Whoa. Cut that out. So looking here, the negative's longer. But now let's think about how this works. We go from 0, we're going to A, All right.